Welcome to DEIJ Hot Takes. My name is Daryl Sinclair, and this is the podcast where we discover the bold and transformative ideas shaping diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice work today. In this episode, we are joined by Ruhina Cockar, the Assistant Vice Principal at Westminster Academy and Certified Coach with Grading. Ruhina, thank you so much for making time for joining us today. Please, if you could share with us the DEIJ Hot Take that guides your work.
Hi, Daryl. Hi, everyone. It's lovely to be here. My hot take is that I believe non-directive approaches to inclusion and equity, such as coaching, are the most impactful.
So this is really interesting for me because this concept of being non-directive is a very inclusive approach. So what I would like is if you could take us through, what does non-directive mean for you in this context? Why do you feel this might be a hot take? Are other people not doing this? And how do you make this a reality in the work that you're doing?
I think this particular way of coaching is a natural way to create that inclusive and equitable environment in a team, because you're not pushing someone into a certain box or working from biases as you're not giving advice or guidance. So you're not starting from a place of hierarchy and understand and pushing an agenda on someone. In that coaching conversation, you are being curious about the person that's in front of you, taking the time to learn about their passions, their motivations, how they see themselves, and using that as a driver to connect with them and giving them the power to empower themselves.
So when you're doing this, are there any particular examples or success stories which come to mind for you? Of course, respecting people's privacy, but simultaneously where you can think of someone where you've had a little bit of a breakthrough whereby allowing them to discover themselves and be inclusive to their own ideas, that they've been able to see the most progress for themselves.
I think the coaching model itself is called Start with Heart. And that is a way of starting with the values, the thing that's most important to people. So starting with the heart. So asking sort of effective questions like, what's important to you? How do you feel about this situation? And when you do that, I don't have a very specific example of it, but I know that the conversations I've had with people using these questions brings out a side to them that I don't see as a leader. I don't see from them on the day to day, because I have very small interactions with them. I'm a senior leader, so I don't always see or get to know the person, who they are and what they love about the job and what they want to get from the job, and how they want to show up every day. So having this conversation that starts with, who are you and what do you stand for and what's important to you, really helps me connect as a senior leader to someone that I don't come across very often on my day to day. And therefore it helps me connect with the wider school body, and being able to get to know them better and being able to support them better in the roles that they're in as well. Because once I know who they are, what they like, I can then connect with them to drive them forward. I was like, I know that person spoke to me about wanting to be a middle leader in 5 years' time. So I can then think about, okay, well, what do they want to do? They want to go down a pastoral route? Do they want to go down an academic route? And have in the back of my mind little projects that they might want to get involved in when those projects come back. Because I've taken the time to ask them the question, what's important to you? How do you feel about this part of your career? Or how do you feel about your, the last 2 years of being a teacher in this school? And having those sort of private, trusting conversations.
That sounds really brilliant. I myself am a massive advocate of having those deeper conversations. And yes, as a senior leader, it can be challenging to find the time for those. So what I would ask there then is, clearly by having this non-directive approach, you're making space to learn about the person, massive act of inclusivity, as we've discussed. It's also highlighting for you the different visions of the future that person has and potentially some of their concerns, worries, and aspirations. But simultaneously, being within a school, is there any guidance or foundation which you need to move towards for example, to have alignment with whatever the school mission might be, or the vision of equity, or potentially different initiatives or goals that might be present in the school at the time? How do you make a marriage between being non-directive but still being key to the context that you're in?
It's a good question. I think the idea of the coaching approach, or the start with heart model coaching approach, is that comes from a place of totally believing that the person in front of you is capable and whole, that they have the answers, and you are asking effective questions to guide them towards an answer that is correct for them and feels authentic to them and authentic to their own improvement, and where they are right now and where they want to be, that is in line with the school mission or the school ethos. And whilst I've spoken about starting with the heart, because that's where you start your coaching journey on the ideas of which is the values, the motivations, the passions, the driver, like your inspiration, where you get that from. The next part of the model is the head part of the model, and that's where you talk through your options, like what options are available to you. That's where you might talk through a particular lens that you have on the problem or on the issue at hand, and it might be that you've been given some feedback by a senior leader, and you've had a certain reaction to that feedback. And the idea is that you would take this coaching conversation and you would talk through those emotions, you process them, you think about the lens that you have on that at the moment, because it might be a lens of defensiveness, that it might be that you're tired and you work really hard and spent a long time planning these lessons and it just hasn't been implemented in the way that you wanted it to be. And that's the kind of reaction you might be having. And so you would talk through those emotions and that reaction, and then you'd think about, okay, well, how do we want to move forward? How do I, as the coachee, want to move forward? And then you would think about the lens that you want to have on that issue, and then you would work out an option or a step that's available to you that is authentic to you to help you move forward from that. And so that is how I think it aligns with any school ethos, really, where you are centering the person and not the problem. And it's about the person and who they are and how they work best, as opposed to the problem of improving teaching and learning.
And where you mention, I really like the language of lenses there. When we're looking at whether it's challenges, successes, or things which we want to change and move forward with, we can apply a number of different lenses. As school leaders, we'll often think about the lens of the teacher, the lens of the student, the lens of the parent, so on and so forth. So I guess in this instance, you can ensure with your lens that there is a consideration of the needs of the school as a whole. So whatever mission or initiatives will take place, but you're still ultimately the person looking through the lens is the coachee, is the person who is seeking to make decisions which are correct for them and their progress. Just as a final little point to touch on, because we spoke about it a little bit just before this recording, but you mentioned to me the way that this model can be applied in a number of different contexts. So where we speak about inclusivity, when we speak about the access, there is space in this approach to, dare I say, customize it to the needs of the people in the community it's being applied to. Could you share with me just some examples you're aware of or familiar with where this model is? So for your school, you're using it with the leadership team. What are some examples of other ways where this has been applied, which people might be interested in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our WA's ethos is around staff development as well. And so we've got two ethos statements, and one of our ethos statements is that WA fosters a proud, cohesive, and ambitious staff body through an engaged and innovative professional learning community. And we do that through professional growth and CPD and continuous professional development. So therefore, for us, our aim of coaching was to empower our leadership team, whether that's senior leadership, middle leadership, and those on the way into a middle leadership program. And that was important to us, and is, because we feel that when you have inspiring leaders, they're inspiring their teams, and empowering their teams to work at high levels. And that in turn is feeding into the classrooms and the students and getting the impact that we want in our students. But there are lots of schools that have taken the Graydon model of Start with Heart and are running the courses with students and helping them to be more coach-like, and using it as a way to help them see that they are completely capable and whole, that they don't need fixing, and that their emotions that they're feeling in their teenagehoods are completely able to be regulated, and giving them tools in which to do that, and then helping them use those tools to then be coaches to younger students. And so having that peer-to-peer coaching situation as well. There are other schools that have run the coaching courses with parents, with the lens of how to better connect with your child, how to better communicate with your child as they're going through transitions from being a child, an 11-year-old, a 10-year-old, to the teenage years, and going through the changes that they go through both in body and chemically, and how to support them through that, and then as they go into adulthood, and going off to university. So the model is completely inclusive and can be complete and applied across all stages of life, and anyone can coach. That's one of the brilliant things about coaching, or just the Graydon Start with Heart model, is that it truly believes that anyone can coach and anyone can be coached.
And I like what you mentioned there with people on the pathway to leadership. So this coaching model, though it may be inclusive in its, dare I say, in its andragogy or its pedagogy, depending on who you're applying it to, it also has enabled you as a school to be able to support members of staff who may have experienced barriers to leadership positions, to support them on their journey to becoming, whether it's a middle leader or beyond. Thank you so much for what you've shared so far. Just for, if you only had this last 30 seconds with someone listening or watching, what might be a key takeaway for someone who's listening or watching, or perhaps some resources, books, websites, whatever, or even a reflective question that you might want to point them towards to support their understanding of what we've discussed today and maybe their ability to apply it in the future?
I think that coaching with using the Start with Heart model is a really powerful way of having better conversations, in general, whether that's in a leadership scenario or speaking to your partner or speaking to your children. Any conversation that is asking questions about what's important to you and trying to find out your motivations, and then thinking about your options, and then thinking about accountability, is a really powerful way of connecting with someone, because you're removing the identity and any biases that you hold within a question, and what you're getting back is a huge amount of identity, and it is a huge amount of more, and it's more personalized to the person that's in front of you. It's about what motivates them, it's about what they love, and it's about how they work best, and it's about what they might want from you, whether it's you as a leader, whether it's you as a partner, whether it's you as a parent. And they're really communicating those things to you in a really kind and supportive and compassionate environment. And if there's anything I would say that you take away from this, it's that we want to be more connected. It's part of who we are as humans, and this is a phenomenal way to do it. And if you want to find out more about the courses, please do look at the Graydon website, where all the information on the courses can be found. But you could also look at my LinkedIn page, where you can see some of the leaders that have gone through the courses. And I will shortly be putting on my LinkedIn page a piece of research that I've done around the impact of coaching on leaders' capacity to lead and be resilient. And we're in a world where resilience is hard, and emotional regulation can be difficult in the pressures that we're under in education. And the research just shows some of the really key takeaways of how coaching can support resilience, whether it's in leadership or in education in general.
Hey, well, I mean, thank you so much for everything you shared. I really loved the points that you were making there with regards to by not putting pressure on the person, you get so much more identity back. I mean, that is such a lovely summation and and part of your key takeaway for this. Of course, with everything you've shared, for everyone listening and anyone watching, I'm going to place links to everything you've described. Very excited for that piece of research that you're going to be publishing. And I'll also put the information of where they can connect with you, Ruhina, to explore your ideas and see some of the ways that you've applied these ideas. So overall, for everyone, thank you for watching or listening, and I will see you on our next episode of DEIJ Hot Takes. Thank you so much, Ruhina.
Thank you. Take care.